Now, David Murathe yesterday endorsed Raila Odinga for the presidency in 2022. David Murathe is not your ordinary politician. David Murathe is a close ally of President Uhuru Kenyatta. David Murathe is a member of the system. And David Murathe is a messenger for the system. So David Murathe was actually used by the system to send a message to Kenyans. And that endorsement by David Murathe caused a lot of excitement amongst the supporters of Raila Odinga. And at the same time, those who are supporting the deputy president, William Samoei Ruto, were in panic. So today I want us to look at this endorsement by David Murathe, what it means. And I want to go specifically and dissect the specific words which David Murathe uttered when endorsing Raila Odinga. I want you to listen to David Murathe very briefly before we go into the details about his statement.
We think it is time Kenyans rewarded the long years of the struggle of Raila Odinga. They owe it to him. It's like Mandela. It's a Mandela moment. And we'd also like to tell him to be a transitional president who will then nurture young generation to take over in 2027. I personally, and this is not going to be misconstrued, I will vote for Raila Odinga to be the next president of the Republic of Kenya. Unless, of course, he decides not to run and he proposes somebody else. Unless, of course, him and the president have agreed. You know, nobody knows what they agreed inside that office of the handshake. Unless they've agreed not to run and back somebody like Matiang'i or Kalonzo, all right? For now, if he's running and we are going to go down to Mount Kenya, it is Raila Odinga.
Now, that's David Murathe. But before we get into the statement by David Murathe, just not long ago, Uhuru Odinga, who is the elder brother to Raila Odinga, made a very interesting statement in Siaya. And that statement by Uhuru Odinga was not by coincidence. That statement was also meant to send a message. Now, if you missed the statement by Uhuru Odinga, just listen to the statement by Uhuru Odinga very briefly before we continue.
And this is the stage we are now making strategies for winning the election. We have won election 3 times, but every time we win the election, we are robbed of that victory. That victory is known to the whole country, but we never go to State House. Why have we not gone to State House when we have actually won the election through votes? This is because there is something which we were missing. And that's something which we are missing is called system. Some people are saying our system is not important, but system is very important. And now we are with Uhuru Kenyatta, who is holding the system. So if the system plus our votes, which are always more than the others, what else? What else do you need? So let us.
Now, Uhuru Odinga also spoke about the system and the support of President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, back to David Murathe's statement. What David Murathe's statement means is only one thing: that President Uhuru Kenyatta and the system are going to support Raila Odinga in 2022. But again, in politics, a day is a very long time. So many things can change. So unless something is going to happen between now and 2022, we can safely say that President Uhuru Kenyatta and his system are going to support Raila Amolo Odinga for the presidency in 2022. And I know most people have been asking me about the system. There's a video I did about the system. I'm putting the link to that particular video in this particular video, so you can check it down there. Now, let us go into David Murathe's statement. I picked out 6 points from David Murathe's statement. The first point which David Murathe talked about was that Kenyans should reward Raila Amolo Odinga for the long struggle fighting for the freedom and democracy in this country. So basically what David Murathe is telling Kenyans, that in 2022, they're likely to market Raila Amolo Odinga as someone who fought for the democracy of this particular country, a man who has suffered enough, a man who has endured a lot just to make sure that Kenya is where it is today. And I remember just the other day, Dennis Onyango, who is Raila Odinga's spokesperson, was reminding Grand Mola on Twitter about how Raila Odinga struggled for this nation, while for someone like him was just busy enjoying. So I picked that Kenyans are likely to reward Raila Amolo Odinga for the long struggle for the democracy and how he has suffered enough. So that's the first thing I picked. Number 2, David Murathe talked about Nelson Mandela's moment. What does that statement mean? In my view, it means 2 things. Number 1, age of Raila Amolo Odinga. Raila Amolo Odinga is now old. It means Raila Odinga can also become the president of the Republic of Kenya, just like Nelson Mandela became the president of South Africa when he was old enough. And the other thing I'm picking out about Mandela's moment is the fact that Raila Odinga is only going to serve for 1 term. Because Mandela served only for 1 term and left. So I picked that from the Mandela's moment. And then David Murathe also talked of Raila Odinga being a transitional president so that he could use that opportunity to nurture young politicians to take over in 2027. So what does that mean? So it means that, and this I've repeatedly said it on this platform, that my thinking is that the system is likely to support Raila Amolo Odinga in 2022. Because Gideon Moi cannot become the president in 2022. He can only become the president in 2027. And this is exactly what happened to Uhuru Kenyatta. Those who were supporting Uhuru Kenyatta, the system, when they wanted Uhuru Kenyatta to become the president, what they did was to allow Moi Kibaki to become the president of the Republic of Kenya in 2002. Because Moi Kibaki was aging, so Moi Kibaki was actually a transitional government from the system, for the system, in their own view. But that's a discussion for another day. But personally, I have always maintained on this platform that Moi Kibaki was a systems candidate. Nobody should cheat you that system was defeated. No. And Gideon Moi is going to become the president in 2027. If not Gideon Moi, but someone else who the system wants. But that person, they can't push it in 2022. So 2022, they are going to have Raila Odinga to hold for him for 5 years, because Raila Odinga is now old. After 5 years, I don't think Raila Odinga can serve this country for another 10 years. So that's what I meant. I mean, that's what I picked from transitional president. The other thing I picked is that David Murathe indicated that he will personally vote for Raila Amolo Odinga. What does that tell you? So he's saying he will personally vote for Raila Amolo Odinga unless Raila Odinga decides not to run and support someone else. David Murathe is the vice chairperson of Jubilee Party. So what David Murathe is trying to tell you here is that the entire Jubilee Party will endorse Raila Amolo Odinga. I'm saying this because David Murathe is a messenger for the system. When David Murathe told us that Kipchumba Murkomen was going to leave his office as the majority leader, people thought it was a joke. We saw Kipchumba Murkomen leaving. When he told us that they were going to kick the allies of the deputy president from Jubilee Party because they were causing chaos, we thought David Murathe was joking. So it happened. They were kicked out. So that's basically what David Murathe is trying to tell you, that as a Jubilee vice chairperson is going to vote for Raila Amolo Odinga? What about Rafael Tuju, who is the Secretary General? Who do you think Rafael Tuju is going to vote for? So that's number 4. Number 5 is also saying that unless Raila and Uhuru agree to support someone, and he mentioned 2 names. He mentioned the name of Fred Matiang'i or Kalonzo Musyoka. What does that tell you? I've always opined on this platform, and even yesterday, I did a video on this, that Fred Matiang'i might actually be the compromise candidate for Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta. When Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga had the handshake, one of the things which they discussed is whether Uhuru is going to support Raila Odinga or whether they are going to retire from politics and support someone. This is what David Murathe is alluding to here. So assuming they are going to agree that they are going to retire both of them. So in that case, it means they are going to bring someone else. And why Fred Matiang'i? Fred Matiang'i is going to be Uhuru Kenyatta's candidate. What about Kalonzo Musyoka? Kalonzo Musyoka is on record that he agreed with Raila Odinga at a personal level that Raila Odinga was going to support him in 2022. So I'm looking at a situation where Kalonzo Musyoka is going to be the candidate for Raila Amolo Odinga and Fred Matiang'i is going to be the candidate for President Uhuru Kenyatta. So that these 2 guys will then agree whether Kalonzo Musyoka is going to be the presidential candidate or Fred Matiang'i is going to be the presidential candidate. This one assuming that Raila is not running. So in case Raila Odinga will not be running, then we must prepare ourselves for a possibility of Fred Matiang'i and Kalonzo Musyoka on a ticket. Either of them can be the presidential candidate. That's what I'm picking from what David Murathe is trying to say here. And number 6, the last thing I picked from what David Murathe was saying was that they are going to Mount Kenya to start selling Raila Amolo Odinga. So that's a message to Mount Kenya people. Because most of them have been opposing Raila Amolo Odinga. Most of them are not supporting Raila Odinga. So David Murathe has told them that now we are coming with a candidate. Uhuru is coming with his candidate for 2022. He's coming with Raila Amolo Odinga to Central Kenya. So you'll either oppose Raila Odinga or support him. But the fact is, David Murathe is now telling the Mount Kenya region, this one is specifically targeted at the Mount Kenya people, is telling the Mount Kenya people that Raila Odinga is the candidate in 2022. Remember, the deputy president controls, as things stand today, the Mount Kenya region. And there's this propaganda that Mount Kenya cannot vote for Raila Amolo Odinga. It was also said that Mount Kenya could not allow William Ruto to work with them. Ruto worked with them and they voted for William Ruto. Who tells you that Mount Kenya cannot vote for Raila Odinga? Mount Kenya region are people who understand what power means. So they will smell it. If they realize that power will be going to Raila Amolo Odinga and they don't have any other person, they'll shift there. And as a matter of fact, Raila Odinga might not even need the entire Mount Kenya region. He will only need, let's say, 25%. Already in the last election, I think he got some percentage there. So if he'll manage to get 25% or 30%, he will be home and dry. And again, remember, in this country, your votes don't count. What counts is the system. But why do I think strongly that if President Uhuru Kenyatta is going to support Raila Odinga, and the system is going to be fully behind Raila Odinga, why do I have the feeling that Raila Odinga is going to be the next president of the Republic of Kenya? Because you all know that Raila Odinga has actually managed to win elections in this country before, without the system. Even Uhuru Kenyatta knows so well, and this is probably why Uhuru Kenyatta entered into the handshake with Raila Amolo Odinga. He knows so well that Raila Odinga gave him a hard time. Were it not for the system, Uhuru Kenyatta is well aware that probably he would not have been the president of the Republic of Kenya. He knows that so well. And that's why when I see people telling Uhuru Kenyatta that he has numbers, you know, the Ruto helped him. You see, those are not here, neither here nor there. Ruto helped President Uhuru Kenyatta perceptionally. He came with the votes perceptionally. Remember, a guy called Oscar Sudi once told Rafael Tuju that Rafael Tuju was just brought to Jubilee to give it national face. That's exactly what Ruto did to Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta needed the tyranny of numbers narrative, so that even if he was going to lose, there was going to be perception that they had the numbers. And that's where William Ruto came in. But the people who handed over President Uhuru Kenyatta the presidency is the system. But why do I feel that Raila Odinga can easily become the president of the Republic of Kenya with the support of Uhuru Kenyatta and the system? Number one is the numbers. What do I mean? Raila Odinga has contested for the presidency in this country 4 times. This is going to be the 5th time. It's just like Buhari of Nigeria, or even the former Senegalese president who contested 9 times. Raila Odinga has contested 4 times. This is going to be the 5th time. If you forget about 1997, the rest, Raila Odinga has always performed well. In 2002, Raila Odinga won the presidency of the Republic of Kenya. That one is not in doubt. We can doubt the 2013 and 2017 because the rigging was high-tech. But Raila Odinga has the numbers. That's the reality already. And these numbers, I can assure you, if the system is going to support Raila Odinga, his strongholds, all of them, are going to vote for him again. And Raila Odinga is now going to have even resources to campaign. Last election, Raila Odinga did not have resources. I remember at some point, I think during the peak of the campaign, he was expecting some money to come into the country from friends outside, and the system blocked those money. They never reached this country. So with the system, Raila Odinga will easily get money. And I'm told already, Raila Odinga has acquired, the government has bought for him several vehicles for his convoy, which is entitled to, by the way, for those who followed the discussions on this platform, there's a time the government allocated money to Raila Odinga for vehicles, for fuel, and office. And during that time, those allocations to the deputy president's office were reduced. So already vehicles have been bought for him. That's numbers. Number 2 is the system. And just like Uburu said it, the only thing they've been lacking is the system. It's the system. For those who followed even Gor Mahia's elections yesterday, it was clear that there was electronic voting, and that electronic voting was actually compromised. That's the reality. So in Kenya, Raila Odinga's votes in most places were deflated, especially in where he was not very strong. Places like Central Kenya, when Raila Odinga got, for example, let's say 150 votes, they will tally like 100 votes or even 50. So by that, you reduce his votes per polling station by 100. If it's 150, then you record 50. Then you reduce by 100. And then those 100 you give to the other side. So in simple terms, Raila Odinga has already lost just 100 votes by that. And then Uhuru Kenyatta's votes were being inflated. And the typical example is what was captured live on TV in Kandara through Alice Wahome. So the numbers are there for Raila Odinga. He really doesn't need any other ground. He doesn't need Rift Valley. I also strongly believe that Raila Odinga does not need Central Kenya to win the presidency. I strongly believe he doesn't need Central Kenya. In Embu, for example, in the last election in Embu, I think he got 8%. He can increase Embu. Tharaka Nithi, Raila Odinga performed well. He can increase the figures there. Even Meru. And I'm sure even places like Thika and the rest, if Raila Odinga will be running, then it means his support base, lawyers and lawyers who normally leave those places during elections, can stay there. And the numbers are not small. Number 3 is Uhuru Kenyatta's interest. If Raila Odinga can play around, and I know they are doing, and protect the interest of Uhuru Kenyatta after 2022, then I'm sure the system, Uhuru Kenyatta will easily support him and even fund the campaign. And I'm told yesterday, someone texted me that Raila Odinga's convoy was spotted heading to Peter Munya's house. And that's where they were with David Murathe. That Peter Munya had, the son was being circumcised, so there was some kind of celebration there, not verified. But the mere fact that these guys were meeting at Peter Munya's residence tells you a lot. These guys were not just meeting there, they were discussing politics. And after that meeting is when now David Murathe came out and talked about Raila Odinga presidency. And lastly, the mere fact that Raila Odinga is likely to serve only one term. This is going to be very, very attractive to other politicians. People like Oparanya can wait because they can be assured of a cabinet secretary. People like Fred Matiang'i can actually still hang on and wait that when Raila Odinga retires, then their space will come. People like even Kalonzo Musyoka can decide, I'm just going to contest, but in case of a runoff, I'm going to support Raila Odinga because Raila Odinga's presidency will only likely to be only one term. People like so many people who'd want, people like Peter Kenyan who'd want to run for the presidency post 2022 can easily support Raila Odinga just because of the fact that he's likely to be a one-term president. So the statement by David Murathe, in my view, confirms to you that Raila Odinga is the next president of the Republic of Kenya. Take that to the bank, unless something happens between now and 2022 and President Uhuru Kenyatta decides to change his mind. Thank you guys, and please, thank you guys for watching this channel. Thank you guys for supporting this channel. I know sometimes we are off, sometimes we are on point, but the politics is really confusing. But one fact I know is that we've maintained consistency. Even yesterday when I did a video about Matiang'i and his possibility of facing William Ruto, David Murathe's statement today also mentioned Fred Okengo Matiang'i. So it means we are just on track. So if Raila will not be running, Fred Matiang'i will play a key role. Thank you guys, and please may you have a good day. Bye-bye.